What does this day bring, Ata?
Sun all day.
Actually, my app says it's going to rain at noon.
Sun.
Rain!
Sun!
Rain!
Listen, I am going to buy my own boat. Who is with me? Give me my fish.
Hey, you, down here in the bucket.
Me?
Do you see another old man looking at me?
Stop talking and go back to being a fish.
Come and dead me.
I will.
If I jump out of this bucket, I will slap you with my fin. Slap, slap, slap. You have to stroke it, then poke it.
You want to join?
Yes.
Do I get a wish?
No,
You just talk.
I'm sorry. Is that not like cool enough for you?
He would like to apply for a loan.
We can only consider a 3-year payback plan.
You think I will die in 3 years?
No.
Oh, she paused.
Papa.
That fish is very rare. How much?
Priceless.
I need a message first.
The message is, eat me.
We are screwed. Trust me, gambling is like swimming. It's in my DNA.
Where is school?
I miss his Jesus fish.
One thing about being Olu is we always value the ones we love.
Wow. So, one trip to Accra, and the man has become a poet.
Shut up.
From the rock body transformation to Steven Spielberg watching a single film 3 times and YouTube funding an entire film industry, we are covering the fascinating stories in global cinema today. Welcome to the Film Mandate. And in today's episode stories, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has announced that Jumanji sequel will be shooting soon, leaving fans confused as to how he's going to reprise his role with this new body transformation he has. And also, Spielberg has heaped praise on Paul Thomas Anderson's directed film One Battle After Another that stars Leonardo DiCaprio and Teyana Taylor, and has really said that the first act is really, really fantastic. And last but not the least, Nigeria's film industry, Nollywood, seems to have discovered a secret in making a projected $200 million revenue as a result of combining a number of business models, which seems to be working really, really well. Well, we'll be delving into all these stories and more right here on the Film Mandate. My name is Papa Otu. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome back to the Film Mandate, where I bring to you movie news, reviews and reactions both from the African front and the international scene. So if you're joining me today, thank you so much for giving me your attention. And you saw the trailer that played, prior to the whole program starting. It's called The Fisherman, which will be screening or premiering, I must say premiering for the first time in Ghana after having been through a number of festivals and won several awards. And it will be screening on the 19th of September at the Silverbird Cinemas, both at the Accra Mall and West Hills Mall. So just zero in this activity or this event in your calendar and make sure you go and support this Ghanaian film. So we'll be delving into our very first story, and in our very first story, well, quite recently, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was at the, Venice Film Festival with a film titled The Smashing Machine, which is a biopic directed by Benny Safdie, and it received a lot of praise. And aside that, others also, due to after that event, a number of his appearances got a lot of people talking, wondering what is happening, whether, with regards to how he looks, and people were wondering what is happening. Well, Dwayne Johnson actually has made known that he's actually working, he's shedding some weight just to prepare for another role titled The Chicken Man. And that is, I think, is going to be adapted from a novel written in the 70s. And so people understood that he means business with regards to trying to go more into character-driven roles as compared to the popcorn, big blockbuster movies that he's been doing. Well, he has made known that the Jumanji sequel to, Jumanji The Next Level would be shooting sometime soon. And it's left a lot of fans confused how he's going to reprise his role as Dr. Bravestone, Smolder Bravestone. And this has kept people wondering. Well, let's take a brief look at what he said with regards to that in an article published in the MovieWeb website. So let's take it quickly. And it says that Dwayne Johnson's long-awaited Jumanji 4 filming update confuses fans after weight loss. Well, Johnson has confirmed that Jumanji 4 is set to start filming very soon. However, his update on the sequel has confused fans, as he also recently shared the reason behind his worrying weight loss, and it has nothing to do with Jumanji 4. The actor is known for his massive muscular build, muscular physique, but he bulked up even more to play MMA fighter Makar in Benny Safdie's The Smashing Machine. Now he's shedding pounds for a new role, but his slimmed down appearance could conflict with the Jumanji The Next Level sequel, which means Dr. Xander Smolder Bravestone might look very different the next time you see him. So this has caused a lot of fans to be worried as to what is happening. So that is quite an interesting development, as we have come to find. And it looks like fans don't know what to make of it, whether Dwayne Johnson's appearance would hamper his performance or appearance in that of the Jumanji sequel, because it's been announced that the December 11, 2026 is the time the Jumanji film is supposed to be, showcased in the cinemas. And this current production of Jumanji is slated to start shooting in November 2025. So it has gotten a lot of fans concerned, wondering how that could be possible. How can Dwayne be able to, appear in this film without necessarily, having the bulk and physique that he used to have in the Jumanji, movie. So that is what has gotten a lot of fans talking, wondering how is that going to be possible? So the fan confusion is understandable, because if you've watched the past two Jumanji films that starred, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson together with his other co-stars being, Jack Black, Karen Gillan, and Kevin Hart, he is the more bulky, prominent, having that rock physique. Now, with this new film that he's going to embark on, people are wondering how is he going to embark on this new path of a career in trying to play, a character-driven roles that may involve him, changing his physique where necessary and, engaging himself in some form of method acting. Well, that is what a lot of people are much concerned about currently. So that is something that is yet to be seen, how he's going to combine both the roles that he now wants to focus on. However, he's also stated that he's not shirking away from these blockbuster films that he loves so much to do. Currently, on his roster of films that he has, and he has in mind to work on, it includes Fast and Furious, X Part 2, the Part 2 of the Fast and Furious X, and also Fast X as it's called. He also has another Fast and Furious movie to work on. I don't know whether that would be the sequel to Hobbs and Shaw, but in all these films he's bulked up. And also he has the one he starred in together with his co-star Emily Blunt, that is Jungle Cruise, for Disney to also appear in, and he had that same physique. So now he has quite a number of projects to work on. However, other perspective that has been weighed into this particular discussion is that possibly the narrative, plot of Jumanji would explain why he doesn't have that, macho look as we found in the first two films. So it can be explained that way once it can be justified rightly and not take people away from the being engaged in the film as it is. And I must say his performance in Jumanji is one of the exciting acts for me. I mean, all of them did so well, but particularly the next level where he had to act as I think Danny DeVito's character, but in the game, it's quite amazing. And I think if you haven't watched that, you should actually look for it and watch it. But it's quite an exciting thing to look at. So it seems that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is really bent on pursuing this new trajectory in his acting career, and all the best for him on that on that path. And I don't know how he's going to juggle all these roles together, looking at the fact that it looks like most of his roles are quite clustered. Most of the projects he's working on are quite clustered together. And he's been one of the most busiest, film stars ever in this world. Every year, churning out a lot of productions back to back and all that. So I'm sure he will find a way of making it work. So the Chicken Man role he will be working on is together with Benny Safdie, who also happened to have directed the much critically acclaimed the Smashing Machine, and the movie will be titled Lizard Music. So that would be quite an interesting thing to look at. And not only that, but Dwayne Johnson, who is in his 50s, will be playing a 70-year-old man, the Chicken Man, the character called Chicken Man, by 70-year-old. So you could see that he's doubling down to really get into those kinds of roles to, change the perspective of what we have of him in regards to his career. So that's quite an interesting role that he's choosing for himself. But I must say that, yes, it's quite exciting, and looking at The Rock bringing always 101% to whatever role he's playing, I know he can pull it off for both roles and juggle the blockbuster feature films together with the character-driven films that he wants to pursue now. So, well, let me know what you think, whether he will be able to balance those indie character-driven roles together with this massive, franchises that he's working on. Whatever your thoughts may be, kindly drop it in the comment section below. So, moving on from the story of Dwayne Johnson's character as a character-driven actor. Now we move to one of, I would say, Hollywood's most iconic, or one of Hollywood's iconic directors, and that's Steven Spielberg. Well, he has, from time to time, he really enjoys the film of other filmmakers, and when he likes it, he would talk about it. He wouldn't keep quiet about it. Well, one of such films that he has watched quite recently is Paul Thomas Anderson's film One Battle After Another, starring starring Leonardo DiCaprio and also Teyana Taylor. And it looks like the buzz around this film is really good, with a lot of people, raving about it. Well, let's take a brief look at an article where it states his excitement concerning this production. So it says that Steven Spielberg heaps praise on One Battle After Another, watched the movie 3 times, and that's a shot of Leonardo in the picture. Yeah, so Steven Spielberg is a big fan of One Battle After Another. The legendary filmmaker heaped praise on director Paul Thomas Anderson's adaptation of Thomas Pinecon's novel after an advanced screening in Los Angeles this week. During a post-screening panel discussion, Spielberg revealed he had already seen the film 3 times. One Battle After Another stars Leonardo DiCaprio as a paranoid, washed-up revolutionary who sets off in search of his missing daughter. That's Chase Infinity. What's an insane movie, oh my God, said Spielberg, as reported by the film stage. There is more action in the first hour of this than every other film you've ever directed put together. Everything, it is really incredible. This is such a concoction of things that are so bizarre and at the same time so relevant that I think have become increasingly more relevant than perhaps even when you finished the screenplay and assembled your cast and crew and began production. So that is how excited Steven Spielberg is with regards to the film One Battle After Another. So it speaks to the, when Spielberg comments a film that you have made, you can be rest assured that he really likes it, and he is iconic when it comes to film directing. And I'm sure at his age he wouldn't have to sugarcoat anything. If he believes or he likes a particular project, he will definitely say it. And to watch Paul Thomas Anderson films, you are always bound to find something very interesting. His kind of movies, particularly if you ever watch The Gangs of New York, let me make sure whether that's the one. Yeah, so one of his films, The Gangs of New York, is one of the most exciting films you can ever watch. Sorry, it's rather There Will Be Blood. I think I'm confusing what's it called? Martin Scorsese's Gangs of New York, but this is what again? There Will Be Blood, and that starts Daniel Day-Lewis, and the performance is something else. That's something else. So one of the things you can always take away from his film is he really doubles down whatever action sequences there is. If you watch the trailer for the One Battle After Another, you can attest to how emotionally intense the film is and how erratic some of the action sequences are with Leonardo DiCaprio. The film, those who have watched the film are given high praise to his performance, which indeed attests to what we saw in the trailer. And so it looks very good. But one of the rising stars, or one of the standout stars of the entire film, is Teyana Taylor, who is such a wonderful actress, and I'm glad that she is a standout in this particular production. So it is really good for him to have watched it 3 times. I'm sure he was watching it to dissect, divide, and understand all those directorial decisions that were made to make the movie that exciting. And for the first act to be that, packed, as Spielberg said during the Q&A screening after at the DGA, Directors Guilds of America's gathering, he did say that all the films he's done, the first act of the film, it's more action than he has done in any other film combined. So that is quite an interesting, opening to a movie. The first act opening to a movie. So if he watched it 3 times, and I'm sure other people were also praising it that much, then it looks like it really, really worked out well for him to have watched it on a 3rd time. So that is quite a good thing to have seen. And also, one of the things that the film is being called one of the best films of the year, and every one of Paul Thomas Anderson's films always makes a mark. If you take a look at all his films that he's done, from The Hard 8, which being his first, to One Battle After Another, and in between there is the Punch Drunk Love, there is The Master, The Phantom Thread starring Daniel Day-Lewis. His films are always quite very iconic. So it is something that you can be rest assured that it will make an impact on you. So no wonder a lot of viewers who have watched them now are giving it high praise for the performances that they've seen in there. So it is quite a good news to have heard how Spielberg likes it and other people like it. But briefly, let me read some of the reactions by those who who have watched it, and I'm reading it off screen. So this is Chris Evangelista says that the modern American nightmare in Vista Vision, one battle after another, finds PTA, that is Paul Thomas Anderson, capturing our current hellish landscape in a darkly funny film loaded with thrilling car chases, deafening shootouts, and absurdism. So that is quite an interesting perspective to the film. Diego is it Andalos or something, pardon me, says that one battle after another is PTA at its most ambitious, bold, and urgent, gargantuan, powerful, crowd-pleasing swing with a visionary idiosyncratic voice, brilliantly blending action, adventure, comedy, and drama. So it really seems like almost like a well-balanced portion of everything that you can, or most people would want to expect in a movie. So that is quite a good observation. Also, Brian says that with one battle after another, PTA crafts an emotional yet incredibly epic American Odyssey through the ideologies that consume America. Sean Penn is haunting yet hilarious and made me shed tears. Incredibly muscular editing. It doesn't provide the entire tweet. So far, all the praise for this film, the Paul Thomas Anderson films, it's really, really good and seems to be, what people are expecting, So it's likely that come the nomination time for the Oscars, they are likely to, nominate it for being such a standout, of a film. So let me know what you think about Spielberg's endorsement of this film. When Spielberg endorses a film, it means business and wouldn't lie about it. So let me know what you think about his endorsement for the film. And does this mean that for the film is tailor-made for the Oscar season or any other festival award seasons, and whether it's likely, looking at the first reviews coming in, is it likely to be nominated, possibly even for an Oscar? Well, whatever your thoughts may be, kindly leave it in the comment section down below. Yeah, so from a very good film with the potential to be nominated for an Oscar, well, we move into a new segment that I created last week titled The Oscar Minutes, where I highlight movies which have been nominated from the world over or from their individual countries, submitted for the best international best film category of the Oscars. So let's delve into one at this instant. And this time around, these picks, actually 6 of them, 6 picks, as to the number of countries and films have been selected. So we're talking about 6 films selected from the MENA region, the Arabian films, which are being submitted for the Oscar. So let's quickly run through the article and know the films that have been selected for Oscar come next year, 2026. So we'll start with the Arab News reports this, the 6. So 6 Arab films submitted to the Oscars. And in the first one, it says several Arab countries and filmmakers of Arab origin have submitted entries to the 98th Academy Awards, which will be held on March 15th next year. So the first one is All That's Left of You, All That's Left of You. And says that this multi-generational drama by Palestinian filmmaker Chirien Dabis follows the struggles and memories of a Palestinian family from 1948 to the present day. So this is from Palestine submitting their film to the Oscars. And also number 2, the second film that have been submitted from from the Arabian region. Say is an Egyptian film, and this film is called Happy Birthday, directed by Egyptian filmmaker Sarah Goha. The film follows an 8-year-old child maid striving to make her wealthy friends by the success in Cairo. So that's quite an interesting story. And also one of the most raved films ever in the particularly Venice and even now Toronto International Film Festival is The Voice of Hind Rajab. And there's a story that captures the very last moments of an 8-year-old girl who died in an Israeli attack in 2024 in the Gaza Strip. I mean, it's a story that happened in the what's it called, the current issue happening in the Middle East, the Gaza Strip at the moment. So, and it's quite a very powerful. If you watch behind the scenes, it's quite a very powerful. It's a powerful. I don't know. I mean, I'm lost for words, but it is something else, and I'm glad it's been submitted for the Oscars. And well, we'll be delving into the story maybe at another time. So this says that The Voice of Hind Rajab, this reconstruction of the tragic events of January 2024, when 6-year-old Hind Rajab was killed by the Israeli military while fleeing Gaza City by car. This is by a Tunisian director, Kaouta Ben Hania. So I don't know whether this has been submitted as a Palestinian film or a Tunisian film, but whichever be the case, well, it is a film that has given voice to the voiceless who cannot say anything for themselves, looking at the current occupation that is happening in Israel. And at this moment, it looks like over 1,600 or 1,200 filmmakers are on a boycott of Israeli filmmakers. And there's even been the Israeli filmmakers also issuing a statement that they indeed don't support the current issues happening now. So it's a whole thing for another time. So let's move on. So we have Kyle Malaga. I don't know what I'm pronouncing now, or Kyle Malaga. And Kyle Malaga is directed by a Moroccan filmmaker, Mariam Touzani. The story follows Maria Angeles, a woman determined to keep her childhood home in Morocco after her daughter decides to sell it. So that is also an interesting plot. The next one is The President's Cake, and this is from Iraqi director Hassan Hadi. Comes the story of 9-year-old Lamia, who must bake a birthday cake for the president or face punishment. Wow, that's interesting. And then the last one is Eagles of the Republic. And it says that created by Swedish-Egyptian director Tariq Saleh, the movie centers on a fictional Egyptian actor whose reputation collapses in the public eye. So these are 6 solid films, the 6 Arab films submitted to the Oscars. And this shows that the Arabs are not joking at all with regards to this next year's the 86th international, best international feature category. So that wraps the Oscar Minute edition for this episode. And now to our very last story. Well, it was not long ago, this year in particular, that a number of the major streaming services, particularly in Nigeria, decided to opt out because of the issue of, they had the challenging issue of a lot of productions, not the entire subscription actually wasn't that good for them in terms of revenue. So they decided to opt out of the country of Nigeria, or not necessarily opt out, but cut down on the number of productions they want to do. That is what the Netflix said, and the Amazon Prime all pulled out completely. But one of the smart ways the industry personnel has found to, circumvent this challenge of losing revenue as to the, absence of these streaming services is to find the perfect model which seems to be working very well for them. And that is blending YouTube and the streaming services to make money for themselves. And that is quite an amazing tactic or strategy they have embarked on. And I'd like to read just a segment of how they are doing that from an article published in the Vanguard Nigerian news site. The Vanguard Nigerian news site. So let me read it briefly. So it says that the Nigerian movie industry revenues, YouTube versus streaming platforms. I won't read the entire thing, but let me just pick it up quickly. The Nigerian film industry, the second largest in the world by volume, is in the midst of an unprecedented financial transformation, split between two powerful forces, the democratic ad-supported empire of YouTube and the curated subscription-based realms of Netflix, Prime Video, and Showmax. So let's move on to the part I wanted to draw your attention to in particular. So let me see. Yeah. So let me just take this last two. Okay, let's start from here. Okay, let me just. So it says that from 2024 to 2025, a tale of two models. The key takeaway for 2024 is that this isn't a winner-take-all battle. It's a strategic divergence. YouTube is the bread and butter. It's the volume business. It finances the industry's backbone, providing a steady income for hundreds of productions and employing thousands of actors and crew. It's democratic, unpredictable, and widely successful at monetizing content for the masses. Streaming is the trophy and the telescope. Netflix and its peers are the prestige play. They are where Nollywood goes to be validated on a global stage to win international awards and to secure larger budgets for ambitious projects. They are essentially for the industry's artistic growth and global integration. So that is quite an interesting, tactic that they have developed in order to help them win, this challenge of financial, I would say difficulty in Africa in particular. So what they have found to be successful is that YouTube seems to be providing quite, an amount of money to support their daily operations, or so to speak. And that is one thing they are embarking on. And one of the things that they've done is that the YouTube provides them with a financial backbone to help them, keep on running the business of, be it a production house, or keep the actors going and the crew members, working. And the data that has been provided in regards to this says that they have been generating an estimated $10 to $15 million monthly. That is quite amazing, $10 to $15 million monthly. And that is actually projected to surpass $200 million annually in 2025. And that is, when it comes to business acumen, the Nigerians in Africa are the best at it. And to have discovered this model to be working with, actually, they were the first to dominate the YouTube space before others trooped in Africa. And it seems to be working so well that this either is a lesson for more industries to follow, or it looks like even currently other industries are following the same vein. In Ghana, a lot of filmmakers are also going in that vein, creating their own YouTube channel to, monetize themselves and make money as well. And so that is amazing. So a projected $200 million is, it's likely to be made at the end of 2025 because they are making $10 to $15 million monthly. And that is amazing. That is very, very amazing. And this is through the high volume ad supported content. So anytime you watch someone's film or video and there is an advert, in the midst of it, it does help them get, that revenue for that insertion of an ad. So that is quite a good thing for them. Also, it has also been, they've been able to combine it strategically in the sense that to keep you afloat, you use the YouTube model by, putting perhaps not the high but low quality productions on those platforms, which is the bar to entry is so low. All you need is to, make sure you follow the eligibility rules and not be flagged. And so they found it to be very successful. However, what they've realized is that when it comes to the Netflix and Amazon, that would require a more strategic move by making sure the production value of your film is high enough to be appreciated by them, because that requires you to follow certain technical requirements in terms of its shooting, the camera you have to use, and certain, calibrations and all that. So with regards to that, they reserve that to attract big budgets for their films. And even if not big budgets and they've already shot it, they know that, when they put it on streaming, it is likely to attract somewhere between $50,000 to $500,000. That is if Netflix or Amazon or any of the streaming services decide to, buy the licenses for a brief period of time to showcase on their platforms. And that is also really, really working well. And it's been estimated that it generates $30 to $50 million annually. And so with that, the reason why, so with that particular figure is as a result that the streaming services are quite selective. You can't just put your content on their streaming platform. They would have to curate it first and put it on their platform. However, with YouTube, you can load it yourself without anybody determining or being a barrier to entry. So that is why there's such disparity between the figures on from the streaming services side, that is the Netflixes and the Amazons, as compared to YouTube, which is it's also a streaming platform, but also more like a social media network on its own. So that shows the disparity between the figures. However, it is quite a good strategy, because then filmmakers who can prove themselves and elevate their craft in terms of production value would be able to access this. But I think with time, as majority of filmmakers hone their craft very well and understand the requirements needed to secure a contract, or rather funding from these platforms to shoot a film, then that would help them to achieve that someday. So I like the blend of understanding that, listen, we will not be able to always secure the prestigious budgets that we want for the big blockbuster film or, high production value film. So whilst we bid our time and work on perhaps stories that would meet the requirements of these streaming platforms, why don't we do stories that are easy to work with, on a lower budget and scale, and do that for the streaming platforms? And this model seems to be working very well. A lot of the filmmakers now have channels, and more are joining in this particular venture. And they wouldn't be joining if those who were the precursors of this initiative didn't benefit or are not benefiting from it. So that is quite a smart move that I believe that every film industry in Africa should learn from and pursue one way or the other, because currently, as it stands, we do not have the necessary infrastructure that can showcase this on a continental scale in terms of cinemas. But what they have done is also find a good hybrid where, prior to just maybe for some of the films, actually, prior to just putting on the YouTube platform, they've created a form of window that works well for them. So what they do is that first, the windowing strategy starts first with with the savvy producers. They run it for a brief period in the cinemas. And once they are done with the cinemas, they approach the streaming services. And once they're able to sell the license to them, they sell it usually between a period of 3 to 6 months, just an exclusive streaming license. They sell it to them. And then once that is done, they bring it back to the YouTube, or they put it on the YouTube platform where everybody can have access to. So I think the blend of these three business models is fantastic, and it is working for them to be able to generate $200 million just out of YouTube ad revenue plus $50 million. So somewhere around $250 million annually is really a good start from just this strategy. So I think it is working, and is currently improving the economic, value of filmmakers in the country. And this has become necessary because a lot of the, YouTube is a free model, and you can have vast numbers watching it, which would also give you exposure as a filmmaker. However, for the Netflixes and Amazons, particularly in Africa, a lot of people can't afford it. That's the reality, because economically, we are not as sound as other nations we do have. Yes, there is the higher class who have all the money and subscribe to it. But when it comes to the business of streaming, you need the masses to be able to break even. And unfortunately, they couldn't. Even as it stands now, DSTV is facing a challenge, as a report shows that over the past, I think, quarter or so in this year, about a lot of millions of subscribers have, stopped, have unsubscribed from their services, and that is the reality on the ground. So with this streaming, this window strategy, I think is working not just for the filmmakers, but also for the masses who want to be entertained by films. And there was one person who made a statement that even the fact that he goes to YouTube to watch these productions and see comments which illustrate, which sort of, says the very words or his thoughts or her thoughts, it's indeed even entertaining enough. So it's not just watching the films, but the comment section alone is actually entertaining as well. So it is quite an interesting development that we have found with regards to this strategy. And I think this business model should be the blueprint of every other emerging film industry in Africa. So let me know what you think, whether Nollywood has mastered the art of commercially surviving and also being artistically ambitious simultaneously. Whatever your thoughts may be, kindly leave them in the comment section below. So all too soon, I've come to the end of this streaming, and thanks so much for joining me. I'll be coming your way again with exciting and fascinating stories as these tomorrow from 11:45 p.m. GMT live right here on the Film Mandate. My name is Papa Utu, and I'll see you soon.